Hello everyone and welcome to my coloring corner. Today is Tips and Tricks Tuesday and the final day that we're going to be working with markers on and pencil. We're going to be finishing off this picture from Fabrica Fantasy, and we're going to be doing the clothing and the butterflies today. We've done the hair, we've done the skin, we've done eyes and lips and stuff like that. So this is what it's at so far, and so far I think we're doing pretty good. So one of the things with fabric, of course, is that you have to remember all the folds and all the shadows and everything else. Now, I have had an accident here, obviously, as you may remember, and I've pushed off as much of it as I can with the alcohol blender. So let's grab the blender pencil or pen again and see if we can push a little bit more of that off of that area. And we'll go back to it in a few minutes here and see how much of it we were able to push off. Otherwise, we're going to have to do her shirt either green or yellow. Okay, so we're just going to leave that, let it dry, and we'll see how much of that yellow we were able to move off of there. But for the butterflies, we're going to actually use a couple of different medias. We're going to use alcohol, we're going to use alcohol ink, we're going to use colored pencils, and then we're going to actually use special stuff that I have that I will be showing you more of on Friday. It's a new product to me, and I have been working with it and I have been playing with it, but it's definitely not perfected. So we will see how it goes. So there's a couple of the butterflies up here in the top that I'm going to do in blue. I was hoping this was a bit lighter, but I should have actually grabbed my Ohuhu pastel markers for this, for the butterflies, just so it gives it a more of a pastel-y blue look. Now I'm just filling in the whole thing. As you know, we're going to do our details with the colored pencil. So I'm just doing the main part of the butterfly. And this one I want it to be blue. Try not to go over top of areas you don't want to be blue. And in these small areas, the bullet nib might be a little bit easier to control. So if you have bullet nib ones and brush ones, for small details like this, you may want to pull out your bullet nibs. Alright, so we've got this butterfly all done up with the, and this one is turquoise blue. I probably shouldn't have used turquoise blue, but that's alright. So now what we're going to do is we're going to let it dry for a little bit, and then we're going to take our, and I've got my Niones out from the video yesterday, so that's what we're going to use. And this is the Nione number 106, which I think is the one I want. Let's check and make sure. Yeah. So this is a dark blue. It's almost what is the name of it? Indigo blue. There we go. Oh, thank you so much for joining us and subscribing to the channel. I appreciate that. At the start of the video, you may have noticed that I have a list of members that we are giving shout outs to. The members are people that have joined me in my many different levels. I have 7 of those members as unicorns, and we have 2 members in the fairy department, which is really cool. They get all sorts of different perks in the live streams as well as in the channel. So if you want to join one of the memberships, of course you can definitely do that by hitting the join link on the below the video just before the about section, next to where you hit that like button. And that's it for my my promotions. All right, so we've got the dark blue going in there. Okay. And I'm just going through and I'm just darkening up all the shadowy areas and making sure that those areas stand out against that lighter blue. Okay. And that's one butterfly down. Now, of course, you can also go in and you can do this in black, or I'm just going to do it in this really dark blue so it stands out, and do the antennae. Alright, so the next one we're going to do is this one over here, and we're going to do that one in yellow. So we're going to grab, we're definitely not going to grab fluorescent yellow. That would be a little too bright. Although it is one of the lighter yellows that is in the Senjoki set. So what we're using is the Senjoki markers and the Nione colored pencils. So I think we might end up doing it fluorescent yellow because I think that's the lightest yellow in the Senjoki set. So fluorescent yellow it is. So this is number 123, fluorescent yellow. Let's see how this turns out. I think I might want to grab my oohs. I might want to grab different markers. Alright. And then that little tiny area there at the bottom, or in the middle of the is going to be pale blue, or pastel blue is what it's called in these markers. And I'm just going away from the yellow into the center of the butterfly here, trying not to get any of that blue into the yellow because it will blend together and turn green. There we go. And then we're going to take black, and I think this is the blackest of the black, and we're going to give it a sharpen because we're going to do all the details on this butterfly in black. So I've got a nice sharp pencil here, and then we're just going to go and do the detail work as well as the shadow work. With adding a bit of black here. Try not to press too hard with your pencil. And I'm just going through and recreating the lines that were already there. Like that. And then, let's see. Now this one here, we're going to do a black outer and then an orange inner. So we're going to grab the black marker. Now you have to be really careful with this. What I'm going to actually do is I'm going to grab my black pencil and I'm just going to draw the areas that I don't want that black to be in. Now because of the way that she's drawn this, which is perfectly fine, it's her style, sometimes you have to go around the areas that you don't want to be that black color to make sure that you give it that definition. Alright, so now we're going to go in with the black marker. And once again, this is something that is probably better to do with a bullet nib because this is a very, very small area. And I'm just barely touching it with the tip of the marker. Trying to make sure that I leave those areas that I don't want to be black the right color. Open for the next color. Now with it being black like this, it leaves you open to using a lot of really light colors on top of that black. So you can use whites and stuff like that and have it show up really nicely on top of the black ink. And the black ink covers up the boo-boos. Okay, so we'll finish this one up. This is almost dry down here, I think. And it didn't do a whole lot, so we'll probably have to do her, I think I want to do her shirt in green. Now I'm going to switch on to the close-up camera so you can actually see what I'm doing, not imagine it. And I'm just letting it bleed to where I've drawn in that extra little bit there. Now once again, just remember that these are really tiny little areas, so you just need to just barely touch the pen to it to fill in that area. If you touch your pen too deep, it's just going to bleed into areas that you don't want it to bleed. And with some things it's perfectly fine because you're going to go over it with colored pencil anyway. But when you're using such a dark color such as black, you have to be really careful because you're not going to be able to go over that with a different color. Now we're going to add some orange. So I think number 14 is vermilion. Actually, I think I want number 34. Maybe number 24? Nope, 34. Which says yellow, but it's a very orange yellow. And we'll touch up the different colors with pencil. To me, that's very orange. Doesn't look very yellow. And now we're going to go into it with some pencil. And we're going to take our red colors. So number 6, I think, is an orangey red. Yes. And we're just going to go we're going to go heavier at the tip and then just feather it out. So that you can still see that orange underneath. Like that. Alright, now we're going to take a little bit of yellow. So we're going to use number 1, which is a very light yellow, but still bright. And we're just going to go in and lighten up that orange a little bit. Like that. Now we can take our white and we can go, let's get a sharper point on that. Maybe a little sharper. Nope. Now it's going to run away from me. It says, no, I'm too sharp. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to go around. Prisma white might work a little bit better for this, but I'm just going to go around the and we'll add a spot here and a spot here. And just go around your details, adding that little bit of white to make them stand out a little bit. Sort of like that. I think that looks all right. All right. So now that this is dry down here, we're going to do her shirt, and we're going to grab a nice light green blue color. So number 58. And this is mint green light. And we're just going to fill in her blouse. And once again, I'm just barely touching, just enough to get the ink on there and let it spread. Try not to let it spread too much into areas you don't want it to be in. And just make sure that your edges are wet. And hopefully we don't have too much of a problem in this spot down here. Now when you get down to a spot that you've repaired like this, be very cautious of how much ink you're putting down, because it will follow that bleed edge of the alcohol that you put down to repair that. So be very careful when you put the ink down to cover it, so that you don't end up bleeding into the other objects around it. Like that. Sorry guys, I didn't realize I was off screen. This is quite a large area, so I'm going to turn the page so you guys can see what I'm doing. Just when it comes down to the really tight areas, just a very, very tip of the brush and let it bleed into it. If you stop just before the edge and you just let it bleed out, it'll usually fill the whole area. If you find that it hasn't filled the area, just gradually move closer to the area that it hasn't filled and just add a little bit more ink and it'll fill that area. Just remember to keep your edges wet so that you don't get those horrid little lines. And I know you can eliminate them by going and putting down a layer of blender pen first. And I'll show you what I mean by that when I get to the other side here. I just don't normally do it because it's an extra step, and I don't like extra steps. And since we're only using one color, it's not a big deal. And with the fact that we're going to be going over most of it, well, some of it, with a darker colors to put in the folds and the shadows and everything. Not really too much of a big deal. as you can see, I have some bleed over going into this butterfly. So hopefully we'll be able to fix that later. Alright, now we're going to go up here. Just trying to be really careful not to get the butterfly. Or her hair. That's the thing with alcohol ink, is that it just decides to go where it wants to go, and you just have to give it room to go there. As long as you give it room to go there, it will only go as far as it will, and just have to notice when you're using your marker how far it wants to bleed, because every marker brand is different. Some will bleed quite a distance depending upon how much alcohol they have in them compared to pigment. Well, not even pigment, compared to ink. Compared to the color. How's that? And once you get to know your markers and how far they bleed and that sort of thing, it makes it a lot easier to do this sort of thing without getting a lot of overlap on your colors. Okay, so we've got our green down. I've got a couple of spaces here that need a little bit more. And that's about it. So we've got our pale green down. And this does not look pale green to you guys. It kind of looks a blue color, but it is pale green. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our darker greens and a medium green, and we're going to, as well as a light green for some highlights. So we're going to take this one, which is a really nice pale green. I don't know why it's showing blue to you guys. Is it showing? No, it's still showing blue. I don't know why. Hopefully it's just my screen and not your guys's. Hopefully it's nice and blue to you guys. And then we're going to take this one. I think this should be number 13. Yeah. And number 109, which should be this way. Nope, not that one. I think it's here. Yeah, there it is. Okay, so okay, I think that is what we need. So we've got a light, a medium, and a dark. So we've got number 57, 113, and 109, which will give us our contrasts and our shadows. So we're going to take number 109 and we're going to put it into our deepest shadow areas. And we're going to extend those shadows out. Like so. And it's pretty much the same sort of thing that you would do for colored pencils. It's just you've got a base going down first that is unmovable. So instead of putting down a light base first, like for example, if I was to be doing this entire picture with just colored pencils, I would have put this color down everywhere. Then I would have taken this color and then this color, or vice versa. This color down first, do the light layer, and then enhance with the darker colors, depending upon the pencils. Sometimes I do it dark to light, sometimes I do it light to dark. It all depends upon what the pencils will allow. Sometimes the pencils don't like it when you go dark to light. The light pencils take over, and then sometimes the light pencils are closer to the darker colors anyway, so it doesn't matter. It just brightens them up a little bit. Just following the hair and the butterflies, giving them a bit of a shadow. And then we're going to go in here into our deeper shadows. Now we're not going to go all the way down, we're just doing our really deep shadows in this dark green. So anywhere there's a really heavy black line is where I'm following. The lighter lines I will do with the next color. Like that. Just making sure I get those dark lines in, like over here. And those areas that you know are going to have a shadow, like under her arm. This is a crease to the shirt, so we have to make sure that we put in the shadow there. Same with around the butterfly, put in that shadow as well. Now we will be extending the shadows a little bit with the other color, like we've got number 109. And we're just going to extend that shadow out a little bit and into that darker color. And we want this shadow to come out. And we're going to fill in this shadow. And bring this shadow out a bit. like I said, it gives you a, with using a marker, it gives you a baseline to work with and covers those heavy areas, those large areas that sometimes you just don't want to cover with a colored pencil. Um, like for example, let's not put green on her face. The face, giving you that base coat so that you don't have that uh, possibility of having um, layer lines and stuff like that for the skin. Now this side over here is going to be a lot heavier with the shadows because of the amount of things going on this side. There's a lot of butterflies on this side. There's a lot of hair on this side. So it gives a lot more shadow than the other side. Okay. Then we're going to take the light green and we're just going to go in and we're going to add some highlight areas. Just those little areas that we know are going to catch the light. Like that. And I think we want to go a little higher over here. Okay, and then we're going to take our blending pencil, and Stubby here is going to need he's going to need a extender soon. He's very stubby. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to blend those colors together, bringing out the edges, getting rid of any harsh lines. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing. And basically what I'm doing is I'm just extending that line. I'm getting rid of that harsh line there. And blending the three colors together with the undercoat. Now this is not going to change the undercoat at all. So if I was to take an eraser to this, say I don't like how one of the lines looks or something, I can take an eraser to the pencil and it's going to leave the undercoat. So say I don't like the way this line looks, I can erase it and it's still going to have that undercoat. If I want to soften that up, I can do so without causing any damage or any erasing of that undercoat. like that. Just like that. So now I just have to be careful with this area because of that boo-boo I made. So I'm just going to very, very gently move that pencil around a little bit, trying not to tear the page because of the marker boo-boos that I had there. Same with over here. Now my little stubby is very stubby, so my hand is probably getting in the way. Alright. It's amazing how much of that pencil I use. Alright, so we've covered the way that you do pretty much everything with marker and colored pencil. Now another item that I have that I've wanted to try, so we're going to, because why not? It is a pigment, and I'm not going to tell you a whole lot about it because I will be reviewing it and playing with it a little bit more later on. I just have to find the paintbrush that I was going to use. Of course, I put things away last night. Silly me. And one of the things that I put away was the brush that I was going to use. And I thought I had left it out, but I must have put it away. Now that's got water in it. That needs to go in there. Trying to find it. Oh, fudge. I'll have to open a new one because I can't find it. So what we'll do is we'll take, I think it's this package. Nope, it's not even the right package. Oh, for goodness sakes. I just need a bloody brush. So I found a brush, and once I get the package open, I can pull it out. There we go. Okay, so I've got a brush here. Just breaking it up a little bit because it's got that stuff on it. And I've got this little vial full of ink. I've given it a shake. Hopefully I don't get it everywhere, because yeah, that's typical of me. And we're going to stick our brush in here. And then we're going to brush this liquid onto it. Let's actually do it in screen for you. Might help, huh? Would help if this would have been able to find the other brush, because then I'd be able to have a soft brush, but I think this one needs to go through the wash first. It's got that stiffener on it. Okay, so we're going to put this brush down for a second, and we're just going to use this little one here because it's already really soft and I can form it a little bit better. So for this dot here, and what it is it's just a white pigment, a sparkly pigment mixed into a ink, basically, which gives me the ability to give sparkly wings. Now, once it dries, I'll go back over it with the colored pencil and give that definition back. Actually, we're going to do it on her lips. Give her sparkly lips. And there we go. And like I said, I will go back through and add the color back in afterwards. But for now, I'll show you how sparkly it is by turning on the light. Okay, by turning off the light. Of course, it's not going to show it. But it has a lot of mica powder in it, so it's very, very glittery. So that's what I've been playing with lately. Just trying to figure out best ways to use it other than in silicone. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take some pink. I'm going to take the brighter pink again. And I should probably use a heat gun on it just to get it to dry out a bit before I do this, but we'll see how it goes. Experimentation, that's what it's all about. It's trying to figure out how to best use something that you have in your arsenal. You can get the best results this way, just by experimenting. I do a lot of experimenting. Everything I do is an experiment. Sometimes it works out, sometimes not so much. Alright. And we're just going to let that dry. And we're going to grab our yellow. And we're going to do the same thing up here. I'm just going to add some of that yellow back into it. Not going to add all of it back in, just some of it. And basically all it's doing at this point is just lifting up some of that white that I put down to let the color back in. This is a water-based procedure, so it's possible to have it be buckling the paper as well if you're not using a watercolor paper, which I am not. So it's buckling it a little bit. And I put too much on that butterfly, so it's not quite dry enough to be doing that. But that's all I have to show you today. I will finish this picture up, and of course I will post it in our community page on the Facebook. So of course, if you want to see this one completed, you are welcome to view it on the community page. Of course, remember to like, comment, and subscribe if you're not already a subscriber. Leave me a comment of things that you enjoyed or things that you want to see in the next video, and I will be happy to look at them. Of course, I do try to answer and respond to all of my community's comments, so please do make sure you say hello and let me know what you liked, what you disliked, that sort of thing, so that I can of course accommodate pretty much most things, and I will try to accommodate all things, but not all things are accommodatable. So if you want to join me in my memberships and have those membership perks, of course you can definitely do that by hitting that join button below the video. If you want to join us over on Facebook, you are definitely encouraged to do so. Just make sure that you fill out the application form on the Facebook group so that we can get you in as quickly as possible. That is for security reasons. We don't accept anybody that is not filled out the application form. So make sure that you do that. Other than that, guys, I want to say thank you very much for joining me. I hope this was helpful, at least entertaining. If not, I do apologize. But yeah, not much more I can say. Next week we will be working with just straight pencil on straight fun stuff coloring. We're not going to be doing any grayscale or anything like that. I just want to show you different techniques and different blending techniques. So taking 3 or 4 different colors and putting them into one space and having them look as if they're all the same. So that's what we're going to be working on next week. Until then, I thank you all very much for joining me, and again, remember to relax, color, and stay safe. All right, guys, thank you so much, and of course, we will see you again tomorrow for our Work in Progress Wednesday. All right, bye-bye for now, guys.